friends, welcome back to the channel. It's Tori. Today we're gonna have a little sit down. We're gonna have a state of the union, a state of the channel, if you will, and we're gonna talk a little bit about this last year and all of the craziness that was 2025, and we're going to talk a little bit about what going into 2026 looks like. And I just wanted to share with you guys some of the highlights that have happened on the channel and in my personal life this last year, and also some of the hard stuff. So I'm going to start the video by getting a little bit personal, a little bit more transparent, not out of a sense of obligation, but just because I genuinely want to share it with you guys and add some context, I think, for a little bit of last year. And just, you guys have been an incredibly supportive, wonderful audience, and I really have appreciated the fact that you're all in my life and that I get to do this. So anyways, we're going to start with that, and then we're going to end on a high note. So let's get the hard stuff out of the way first. So many of you know from the mentions that I made of it last year that my grandfather, who is one of my biggest heroes in life, he's one of the people that is most responsible for my love of storytelling, of reading, of military history, a history in general, has been moved into a memory care facility and has late stage Alzheimer's. It is very weird reflecting on the last couple of years and seeing how fast he declined. A lot of people with Alzheimer's will decline a little bit, have kind of a plateau, decline a little bit more. So you sometimes have, like, you know, a little bit of time in each phase. And my grandfather just declined so incredibly quickly. And it was so hard to watch. It's been so hard to watch. And we've had some really good moments with him this last year, but it's been really hard. Grieving the loss of a time period of my life where he was vibrant and strong and very much present. And also being there for him and being present with him despite the fact that he doesn't know who I am anymore. And just, you know, it's so much to balance, and it's so much emotionally to work through and process. And it's been honestly an honor to be able to walk with him through the end of his life. It's been really hard. It's been really, really hard. And I'm going to do my absolute best not to get super emotional while talking about 2025 because, you guys, it was a time. So there's been a lot of grief in my life this last year, and a lot of long drawn out grief because obviously, even though he's been declining very quickly, it has been, Alzheimer's is a horrible, awful, terrible disease, and it is really difficult to watch someone you love go through it. And not just for him, but for my family as well, because all of us obviously are trying to deal with it and grieving and trying to support him and take care of the estate and all of this stuff. It's just, it's a lot. And anyone who's gone through that, you know, you guys know how much weight that is emotionally. And how much work it is, too. It was a lot. It was a lot last year. It's still a lot. And he's doing well as he can be in the situation. So he's doing really well. He's doing about as well as he can be in the situation we're in. He still lights up when I go to visit him, even if he doesn't recognize who I am. We've always had a really positive kind of joking, teasing back and forth kind of relationship, and I can usually get him to crack a smile or kind of get a little cheeky. So I've really appreciated that. He loves seeing my kids, so we've been trying to visit him as often as we can, just to bring as much joy into this phase of his life as we possibly can. So beyond that, 2025 was a year, you guys, and I promise there's a reason for me telling you all of this, because I'm so thankful and proud of what the highlights of last year were, despite all of this. But between my grandfather and my parents, we had 9 ER trips in 2025, 3 of which were life-threatening. My parents, both, you know, like my mom's health has been really rocky for a really long time, and that has been its own, you know, thing to deal with. But my dad had to go in for something very early in December for his heart, and it was completely out of the blue. None of us were expecting it, and it was quite severe, and I wasn't sure if he was going to come back out. So for a little context, before I get really emotional about this, I went down to Dragonsteel Nexus convention in early December last year, and it was the first fantasy convention I've ever been at, and I was a vendor there selling my books. And I got a call the morning of the first full day of the conference that my dad was in the ER, and they weren't sure what things were going to look like. Talking with my mom and my dad and figuring out how stable things were. Do I need to pack everything up and go home? Thankfully, they were able to get him stabilized. And I mean, I was 4 states away, so I wouldn't have gotten back fast enough to make any difference at that point. It was a lot. The conference was amazing. It was so fun to meet so many amazing fantasy fans, to meet so many authors, to get a chance to just be at a fantasy convention. And I'm so grateful for that experience. And also, there was a lot of stress because I didn't know how my dad was going to be, during that whole thing. And thankfully they were able to, everything was fine. He's doing much better. I tried to make bullet points about this, you guys. I realize I'm being super rambly. This is just raw, honest. I don't know how to tell you guys better than just kind of throwing it all out there. And then at the end of December, the morning after Christmas, I got a call from my doctor telling me that I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease, which, if you have no idea what that is, it's actually not super crazy uncommon, but essentially it's a disease in which my immune system is attacking my thyroid. So my body is literally attacking itself, which is great. And honestly, it was very validating in a lot of ways because the symptoms that I've been struggling with for the last few years were getting to the point where it was debilitating. It was very debilitating. I was dealing with intense chronic fatigue that had me pretty much useless a lot of the days of the week because the exhaustion was just so heavy. The joint pain, I know I've been talking about getting rid of a lot of my mass market paperbacks. The joint pain in my hands, in my wrists, in my shoulders has been really debilitating. I feel like an 87-year-old woman most of the time. So having the diagnosis was a positive in the sense that it validated that I could essentially stop gaslighting myself, which I've been doing for a really long time, telling myself it wasn't that big of a deal, that I just needed to suck it up, and, a lot of us are good at that. But it is something that is, critical, and I need to make sure that I'm taking really good care of myself so that it doesn't progress into something worse. I wish I had gone in sooner. I wish I had not gaslit myself so much about the symptoms I was experiencing, and I pushed myself so hard the last few years, you guys. Physically, mentally, I've really pushed myself, and one of the things that I want to focus on really heavily in 2026 is restfulness and taking care of my body and my mind in a way that I haven't as much as I should have. So, especially physically, I feel like, the mental health side of things I've really focused on a lot, but the physical side, I come from a long family line of people who just soldier on through. and I think while there is some of that is useful and important in life, I also think that it can lead to not taking care of yourself when you should. So, anyways, all of that very long, rambly, emotional bleh to say 2025 was incredibly difficult for me, for my family, and I wasn't sad to see it go in that way, but it was also a year of intense growth for me as a person. I feel like I've learned so many life lessons in the experiences that we've all had this last year that I do feel like a more grounded person, if that makes sense. And also with that, recognizing how incredibly difficult 2025 was. It was exhausting. There were a lot of things outside what I've shared with you guys in my personal life that were just, it was just one thing after another all year. So with that, I want to take a moment to celebrate the highlights, because I think it's really easy in those moments when life feels like it's constantly kicking you while you're down to get so mentally stuck in that place that you can't see any of the beauty around you and any of the positives. And I've worked really hard not to be that person. So we're going to shift now into channel updates, channel moving forward, just some of my general plans for 2026 I wanted to share with you guys. First of all, we need to talk about the channel growth in 2025, because you guys, while all of this craziness was happening in my personal life, I could not believe the boom and explosive growth that the channel experienced in 2025. It was absolutely mind-blowing. We added 6,700 subscribers to the Tori Talks audience in 2025. And for all of you that are new, that subscribed last year, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting what I do. I'm still every day mind blown that so many of you tune in and care what I have to say about books. So thank you for being here. To those of you that have been here for however much longer after that, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel in the same way all this time. I really, really value the audience that I have on this channel, and I really have felt privileged to get to know all of you in the comments. It is so fun to see familiar faces pop up in the comments on every video and just hear you guys' thoughts and what you're reading and the discussions. The content creation side of things was such an important consistent for me last year, and it gave me something to work on that I knew I wanted to put out a video or 2 videos every week, and it gave me something to focus on outside of everything that was going on that was being crazy in my personal life. I also hit 6 years officially on Booktube on January 1st, which is wild. And at the same time, we hit 1 million views on the Tori Talks channel, which also is a milestone that just blows my mind. So huge thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to everyone out there who watches my content, who comments, who lurks. Doesn't matter. Like, I appreciate all of you so much. Thank you for being here, genuinely. I've really tried to create a sanctuary here on the Tori Talks channel, both for me and for you guys, where we can just come together. We can lay stuff at the door and walk in and talk about books, whether we agree or disagree on the books. And I think that's so important, because I know all of us, and I know you watching, are dealing with things that are maybe similar to the things that I was dealing with last year, or maybe completely different. I know all of us have a lot of weight on our shoulders in life, whatever that might be, and I really value that we have a space where we can come together and put that down for a little bit. So thank you for being a part of that. Beyond that, I still can't believe this happened either. I published a book in 2025 amidst all of this. Gold Silver for Souls came out on May 27th in 2025, and it is my fantasy western book, first book in a series. It's about a bounty hunter necromancer who lives in a world inspired by the Yukon Gold Rush. And this book kept my creativity alive in 2024 and 2025, and I'm so grateful for it. And I'm so grateful to all of you who have read it and enjoyed it and commented and reviewed and supported it. So thank you so much for that as well, because this was a tough year for me creatively, with my own physical health and the health of my family, trying to deal with all of that. I'm really, really proud of myself for getting this book out in 2025. And I'm looking forward to writing more, hopefully in 2026. That's one of my big goals. And getting back to the Legends of the Bruhai series. So if you're a fan of the Bloodstones and you've been waiting for the next installment of the series, stay tuned. It's coming sooner than you think. And also for those of you that love Phased, I am definitely going to be turning my attention to the sequel to that, hopefully sometime in the next year plus. and very, very excited to dip back into writing. Granted, I don't know what life is going to bring this year. I've quit guessing, honestly, but that's the plan currently. So let's talk about channel updates. What does 2026 look like? I am so excited about the reads that I have lined up for this year. I have had my priority reads video that I did for you guys that kind of lays out most of the books I want to get to, and also my priority series video. I'm so excited, you guys. Some of these series I've been waiting to read for so long, and I want to give myself the time to really sit with some series this year. That's one thing I've talked about before, that it is really, really difficult for me to continue series because I have an oh shiny syndrome problem, right? Like I'm constantly jumping to the next series, the next book, and I'm so excited about it. But I really want to go back and spend time finishing a lot of these series that I loved the beginnings of. So we're going to try to do more of that in 2026. So you can look for a lot of that. I also want to push myself a bit creatively this year. I feel like I've really hit a stride with the kind of content that I enjoy creating, and just the channel's culture and tone in general. And I love that. And now I kind of want to take a little bit of that and push myself forward. So I'm not entirely sure what that looks like yet. I have some ideas. I want to do some bigger reading vlogs again. I want to try some new things. I got a microphone for my phone so I can be like all the cool kids now and talk into my little fuzzy microphone. So we'll see. I have no idea what's gonna come with that, but I would love to know down in the comments if you guys have suggestions for like topics you've always wanted to see me talk about, or if you think certain types of videos you really enjoy watching. Let me know down in the comments, because I'm always curious to hear what you guys enjoy most on the channel and what you'd like to see more of. So feel free to drop those in the comments below. And I'm going to be focusing a lot on life-work balance this year, because that was something, again, I pushed myself really, really hard in 2024 and 2025. And I'm at a point now where I don't have the option. And I think sometimes life and God put you in a position where you have to slow down. You don't have an option anymore. And I'm kind of at that stage where my body is literally saying, we're done. Like, we're done. You need to address some of this stuff before we completely fall apart, which is fair. And I want to take that seriously. So I am working with my doctor. I'm going to be, focusing on some fitness stuff this year and some very specific dietary restrictions to help my body heal. And I'm actually really excited about it. It helps being past the point where I just have a bunch of symptoms that I can't deal with or don't know how to deal with. And now I'm at a point where I have a target, if that makes sense. I have a direction. We have a heading, as Jack Sparrow would say. And that makes me feel more empowered. Now with that, I know in 2025 I took some breaks. I took a long break in October. I took some weeks off here and there. And I'm going to continue doing that in 2026. And I'm going to stop putting so much pressure and guilt tripping on myself when I do, because it's something that I think is really, really important for anyone who does content creation to be comfortable enough to take a step back, to rest, to recharge, and come back better and stronger and still excited to make the content that they make. And I still love making content. So there is nothing about the channel that is going to drastically change, other than I don't know that I'll be able to put out 2 videos a week every week, because it is a lot of energy that I frankly don't always have. And so on weeks when I am just really struggling with fatigue, or it's just everything's going a little crazy, I'm going to just put out 1 video or not put out a video, and I'm going to give myself permission to do that. Now that doesn't mean that the content's going anywhere, so don't worry about it. And I actually think by pushing myself creatively and allowing myself the space to work on some of the videos that I just haven't had time to do or haven't had the energy to do, giving myself a little bit more time to work on those, I'm excited about the content that I have coming up for you guys this year, and I hope you enjoy it too. And I just think it's going to be a positive change all the way around. Also, it's going to be really nice. One of the reasons why I'm being so transparent with you guys is it's going to be really nice not to vague post. Sometimes on my community tabs, I often say that I'm feeling under the weather or whatever, and you guys have always been super supportive and wonderful whenever I need to take a break. It's not you, it's me when it comes to the pressure and guilt of taking breaks. But it's going to be nice to just... I didn't feel a need to keep that a secret from you guys. I'm not a doctor, so don't take anything I say as medical advice, but for anybody out there who might also be dealing with Hashimoto's disease and wanting to know that you're not alone, you're definitely not alone. And for anybody honestly dealing with any kind of mental or physical health issues, it's a lot, and we need to learn to be kind to ourselves, to listen when our body tells us that something's wrong, because this is something that I have known for a while, and I just kept pushing myself, kept putting it off, and I'm really glad that I finally just said, nope, this is enough. Enough is enough. You know, it's time to take better care of myself. And there is never a point where we can't take better care of ourselves. I just hope that that encourages some of you guys, whether you're dealing with the same disease or something completely different. I just hope that you know that I see you and I know how much of a struggle it can be to take really good care of yourself. But it's so important to make sure that you're healthy as much as you possibly can. And I know there are things, circumstances outside of our control, obviously, but yeah. So I hope that you are taking really good care of yourself, and I'm going to try to do a better job of that in 2026 as well. That was a lot to throw at you guys, but I wanted to get this out here in the beginning of 2026 before I jump back into my other content, and you guys will be seeing normal videos coming back soon with all of that, so keep an eye out. I'm very excited for some of the videos that I've got coming down the pipeline in the next couple of months. And yeah, again, let me know down in the comments if you have any content that you enjoy watching the most on YouTube. If there's any topics you think would be fun, feel free to drop them down there. And again, I just want to say a huge thank you to you guys, because I'm really grateful for the consistent presence this channel has been in my life for the last 6 years, and it was very grounding last year to have something I could put my time and effort and attention into outside of my personal life that was just completely separate and allowed me kind of an outlet to talk about something I love. And I appreciate that you guys were here to share it with me. So anyways, that's plenty for me for today, but I hope you guys are having a phenomenal week. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for supporting what I do and for being part of my little corner of the internet. And I will see you in the next video.